Hey, history buffs! Today we're diving into one of the biggest what-ifs of World War II. What if the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor had failed? How would this have changed the course of the war and the world as we know it? Buckle up, because this alternate history is about to blow your mind. December 7th, 1941, a date which lives in infamy. But in our alternate timeline, it's just another Sunday in Hawaii. Picture this. Japanese planes approach Pearl Harbor, but American radar operators don't dismiss the sighting as a squadron of B-17s. Instead, they sound the alarm. The US fleet is on high alert, anti-aircraft guns manned and ready. As the Japanese planes swoop in, they're met with a wall of flak. Crucial misses by Japanese bombers mean the USS Arizona and other battleships survive. The element of surprise? Totally lost. The attack becomes a disaster for Japan. They lose most of their aircraft and skilled pilots while inflicting minimal damage on the US Pacific Fleet. Emperor Hirohito is furious, and Admiral Yamamoto's worst fears come true. He's awakened a sleeping giant and filled it with terrible resolve. But here's the kicker. Without the shock and outrage of Pearl Harbor, the US doesn't immediately declare war on Japan. President Roosevelt, who had been looking for a reason to join the war, now faces a major dilemma.
So what happens next in our alternate 1941? Let's break it down.
1. The U.S. stays neutral, for now. Without Pearl Harbor, isolationist sentiment remains strong in America. Roosevelt can't easily convince Congress or the public to join the war.
2. Japan focuses on Southeast Asia. With their fleet intact, Japan aggressively expands into British, Dutch, and French colonies in Southeast Asia. They might even push towards Australia and India.
3. Britain stands alone, longer. Without US support, Britain faces a tougher fight against Nazi Germany. The Lend-Lease program might be scaled back, straining British resources.
4. The Soviet Union under more pressure. With Japan not tied down fighting the US, they might invade the Soviet Union from the east, forcing Stalin to fight a two-front war.
5. The Manhattan Project slows down. Without the urgency of war, the atomic bomb's development might be delayed, changing the endgame of the conflict.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
The US can't stay out forever. As Japan expands unchecked in the Pacific and Germany continues to dominate Europe, American public opinion would likely shift. By 1942 or 1943, the US probably enters the war anyway, but under different circumstances. Maybe it's after a Japanese attack on the Philippines, or perhaps to support a struggling Britain.
The big question is, would this delay have given the Axis powers enough time to gain an unbeatable advantage?
Or would it have merely prolonged the inevitable Allied victory?
Historians argue that even without Pearl Harbor, the industrial might and vast resources of the United States would have eventually turned the tide.
But the human cost, potentially much higher.
Millions more might have died in a longer, more grueling conflict.
In the end, our real history might have been the best-case scenario. The tragedy of Pearl Harbor united America and brought its full strength into the war relatively early, likely saving countless lives in the long run. So, next time you think about how one event changed history, remember Pearl Harbor? A military failure for Japan became the key to their defeat, and perhaps ironically, saved millions of lives. What do you think would have happened if Pearl Harbor failed? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this dive into alternate history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more mind-bending what-ifs. Until next time, keep questioning history.